Even when it's unintentional, Stephanie White just gets blasted and exposed. This time by one Draymond Green. We got Sophie Cunningham. It's so much to.
That's the sound of a coach getting publicly exposed before the season has even found its rhythm. The Indiana Fever are sitting at 4-4, just 8 games into the year, and already things feel unstable. And then you've got a Hall of Fame level defender completely breaking down their entire defensive identity without even saying their name. So what exactly did Draymond Green say that lines up so perfectly with Stephanie White? Let's get into it.
This isn't just a coaching issue. When you're trying to compete at a championship level, you must have guys that want to take on that challenge. I'm not switching at this point in the game. Let them set the first screen, don't switch. Let them set the second screen, don't switch. Now, as opposed to Jalen Brunson getting the switch with 19 seconds on the shot clock, 17 seconds on the shot clock, now he gets to switch with 6 or 7 seconds on the shot clock. Now you gotta go. Now our defense can react and we just end up in a rotation. But he's not just dicing us up. You got guys in there that don't really want that challenge. They don't want to fight through the screen and say, this is my matchup.
Listen to what Draymond is breaking down here. He's explaining exactly why switching every screen from 1 through 5 is basically a losing recipe. The moment you switch, instantly you're handing the offense a perfect mismatch with like 19 seconds still left on the shot clock. They get to isolate the weakest defender one-on-one, completely unbothered, with all the time in the world to cook. Draymond's message about the Warriors is actually pretty simple. You can't just gift the offense whatever matchup they want. And here's where it gets loud, because that's exactly what the Fever are doing on almost every single possession.
Fight through the screen and say, this is my matchup, I want to stop this guy. I don't understand it. Guys simply don't know how to win, don't want to do what it takes. I was baffled by this. I'm still baffled by it every night when I watch these guys accept switches and...
They don't want to win. They don't want to do what it actually takes. Draymond's frustration here isn't just about effort from his teammates alone. It's about a system that keeps putting players in situations they're not built to survive. Now, here's where it gets really damning for Indiana, because a Fever player themselves basically confirmed this isn't a mistake or a one-off lapse. This is the actual game plan.
The thing that's hurting us right now is we're only playing one defensive scheme, and in this league, it's too good. You can't, and people are going to pick us apart. And so, we got to dial in. We got to focus. Your IQ has to be on point. You have to know what schemes we're doing, and if you can't do that, then you can't play. And that's the point where we're at right now.
And the one scheme they have is switching 1 through 5.
Listen, there it is, straight from Sophie Cunningham. One defensive scheme, switch 1 through 5. And in a league this elite, she's basically saying teams are going to dissect that over and over again. Think about what that actually means. A professional team, 8 games into the season, is running with one single way to guard opponents. Kelsey Mitchell, one of the smaller guards in the league, ends up stranded on an island against Gabby Williams and other bigger wings with 0 support. Caitlin Clark gets targeted, isolated, and forced into 9-10 dribble possessions with no help rotations coming at all. And no, this isn't just a young roster excuse. Nalissa Smith and Robin Roberts have shown they can hold their ground defensively. This goes deeper than personnel. This is coaching.
When you say you're playing one defensive scheme, that you have others installed, you just start ready to run them in games?
I mean, we had probably 10 of them last year. Each team has stuff up their sleeve, but if you can't execute them, you can't do them. And so this team really does have to focus. We have a lot of young guns. We have a lot of people who are very talented, but at the same time, you have to dial in and know what we're doing.
Now Sophie is saying something even more revealing. The other defensive schemes are actually in the system. They just aren't ready to be used when the game starts. She even mentions they had around 10 different looks last season. So the tools are there, the talent is there, the playbook is there. But here's the real issue: execution under pressure and preparation when it matters most. And that points straight back to the coaching staff. Because if you've got 10 schemes drawn up on paper, but in live action you can only trust one, that's not a roster problem anymore. That's a breakdown in teaching, development, and in-game readiness.
So what were the kinds of things you talked about in that meeting yesterday?
Just what everyone's kind of feeling, where we need to be, what our identity is, offensively, where we're struggling, defensively, where is the breakdown. And so we literally, I think we were in there for like an hour and a half, almost.
Here's the detail that should honestly make everyone stop for a second. After that loss to Portland, the Fever didn't even sit down and watch film. Think about that. A team already getting exposed defensively, getting picked apart possession after possession, and the response is basically to wipe it and move on without even reviewing the tape. Cunningham describes it like an emotional reset, but the film is literally where you fix the exact problems she's talking about. You don't repair a broken defensive system by refusing to study how it broke in the first place.
Translating to games, or is it kind of just everything?
You know, I think that we found a scheme that worked, but once you do it 2 or 3 games, people are going to pick that apart. Like I said, the league is way too good. We do that. You know, we hope teams switch 1 through 5 because that means AB is going to have a great post up and we're going to have someone big on us that we're going to shoot.
We hope other teams.
And here's the part that ties everything together. Cunningham says the Fever actually want opponents to switch 1 through 5 against them, because that opens up post mismatches and easy scoring chances for their bigs. Read that again. They're basically hoping teams run the exact same coverage that's been hurting them on defense. They recognize the weakness perfectly, they benefit from it when it's used in their favor, but then flip it, and they still build their own defensive identity around that same exact principle. That's the contradiction sitting right at the core of this entire situation.
Sophie Cunningham letting it be known. The Indiana Fever have one move on defense, and that's to switch 1 through 5. You got Draymond Green letting it be known. You can't do that dumb stuff. It's ridiculous. Like that does not work. It's sad. It's sad. It's a sad state of affairs that are going on in the Indiana Fever's organization, and Caitlin Clark is stuck in a clown show. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you think.
So let's put the full picture together. The Indiana Fever are sitting at 4-4, just 8 games into a season that was supposed to be a real step forward. They've got talent, no question about that. Kelsey Mitchell can get buckets, Caitlin Clark is a generational playmaker, Sophie Cunningham brings toughness and shooting, and young pieces like Mickelin Timpson and Raven Johnson have already shown they can hold their own defensively. The personnel isn't the problem. The problem is there's no clear, consistent system to actually unlock it. And this isn't just speculation anymore, because 2 completely different voices are telling the same story from 2 different worlds. Draymond Green, a 4-time champion and one of the smartest defenders of his era, explained on his own platform why switching everything 1 through 5 is a losing formula. It lets the offense control matchups, forces weak defenders into isolation, and gives elite scorers all the time they need to hunt exactly what they want. He was talking about James Harden and the Clippers, but the blueprint he described fits Indiana almost perfectly. Then Sophie Cunningham comes from inside the locker room and confirms the same reality. 1 defensive scheme, switch everything. She even admits the league is too skilled for that, admits teams are picking it apart, and admits Indiana is already paying for it. She also described a long team meeting, nearly an hour and a half, where they tried to rebuild their defensive identity from scratch. That's not normal this early in a season. That's a team searching for answers in real time. And then comes the detail that really seals it. After the Portland loss, they didn't even watch the film. The one tool that would actually expose and fix everything she just described skipped entirely. So you've got a team that supposedly has multiple schemes installed, but only trusts one in games. A team that knows its weakness when others exploit it, but doesn't correct it when it's their own. That's the contradiction sitting right in the middle of everything. And Caitlin Clark is right there in the center of it. A franchise-changing talent being put in impossible defensive situations over and over again on a team that can diagnose its issues out loud but can't consistently solve them on the floor. So the real question is simple. Is this just a roster still growing into itself, or is this a coaching problem holding back a group that might already be better than what the record shows? Because both things can't be blamed forever. One gets fixed with adjustments inside the building. The other usually doesn't.